Stop. Before you say a single word, before you even draw another breath, I need you to hear this. Something is happening around your life that you were never meant to see clearly, until now. You didn't stumble onto this message, you were escorted here. Because there is a war being waged right now, at this very moment, and the prize they are fighting over is you. Not your money, not your reputation, not what you've built or what you've lost. You, your soul, your calling, your next step. Here's what they never told you in Sunday school. Some battles don't start because of what you did. They start because of what you carry. Think about every season of your life where the opposition felt bigger than the offense, where enemies rose up before you even made a move, where relationships fractured right when you were getting closer to something sacred, where the warfare intensified the moment you started walking toward God. That wasn't coincidence. That wasn't bad luck. That was recognition. Somewhere in a room you were never invited into, your name was spoken. And the moment it was spoken, two sides showed up. One to protect what God placed inside you, one to destroy it before it could bloom. You did not become a target because you were weak. You became a target because something about you was already being recognized. There is a sealed letter with your name written across the front, written before your mother knew she was carrying you. A courtroom already in session, arguing your case before you ever understood you had one. A treasure buried deep, drawing both heaven's purpose and hell's fury toward the same unmarked ground. They've been fighting over you since before you had words for the feeling. And today, right here, in this sacred moment, we are going to pull back the curtain. We are going to uncover exactly why the war got louder the closer you got to becoming who God called you to be. If this message already feels like it found you at the exact right moment, type, "Lord, open my eyes." Let me ask you something nobody has ever had the courage to ask you directly. Not your pastor, not your children, not your closest friend. Why has your life felt so heavy? Not just difficult, not just challenging, but heavy in a way you could never quite put into words. Like carrying invisible bricks in your soul every single day. Like waking up already exhausted before the world even makes its first demand on you. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange, nameless weight that follows you into rooms, into seasons of what should have been joy. You smiled at Thanksgiving dinner, you sang in the choir, you held everything together for everyone around you. And underneath all of it, quietly, persistently, something pressed down on your chest that no one could see. Most people assumed you were fine, because you were strong, because you always showed up, because you never let them see the cost. But you knew what it felt like to walk through a crowded room and feel utterly alone. You knew what it meant to pray in the dark for decades and hear what felt like silence stretching back at you. You knew the particular loneliness of being surrounded by people who loved you and still feeling like no one truly saw you. That's not weakness, dear one. That's the fingerprint of a life that was never ordinary. Think back, not just to last year or 5 years ago. Think all the way back. Think about the seasons that came and went without explanation, the doors that closed before you even finished knocking, the relationships that unraveled right when you needed them most, the promotions that went to lesser men, the recognition that never arrived, the misunderstandings that became separations, the family members who looked at you and chose someone else. And underneath every single one of those wounds, one question burned deeper than the rest. Why? Not why me in self-pity, but the genuine, searching, almost desperate question of someone who has been faithful, who has prayed, who has believed, who has kept showing up, and still couldn't understand why the road stayed so rough, so long, so steep. Job asked that question. David asked it in the cave. Jeremiah asked it with tears running into his beard. And God never once shamed them for asking, because the question itself was sacred. It was proof that something in you always knew, this doesn't add up. My life was supposed to mean something more than this. Hear me carefully now. This next part matters. What if the heaviness was never evidence that God abandoned you? What if it was evidence that your life was never ordinary enough to pass through this world without resistance? There is a profound and painful truth that no one prepares you for when you come into a calling. The greater the assignment, the thicker the opposition. Not because God is cruel, but because you are carrying something valuable. And when you carry something of great value, the road becomes watched. The path becomes contested. Think about oil. Pure, ancient, consecrated oil stored in a hidden jar. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't glow or make noise. But everything it touches is transformed. And the moment someone discovers where that oil is hidden, they will fight for it, guard it, or try to destroy it before it can be poured out. That is what you are. You have been a lamp covered with cloth, hot underneath, burning quietly, carrying light the world didn't know it needed yet. And you spent decades wondering why you felt like you were suffocating, when the truth was you were simply being held until the right moment to be uncovered. The betrayal was real. I'm not asking you to pretend otherwise. When people you trusted turned against you, when the church wounded you instead of sheltered you, when your own family couldn't understand what God placed inside you, that pain was real. It left real marks, real scars, real questions that still ache on quiet Sunday afternoons. The confusion was real, walking through life feeling like a soldier dressed in peacetime clothes, carrying a warrior's weight, trained for battles no one around you could see, sitting in ordinary rooms with an extraordinary assignment strapped invisibly to your back. That confusion was real, and it was exhausting. But here is what the enemy never wanted you to understand. The pain was real. The betrayal was real. The seasons of silence were real. But the conclusion you drew from it was wrong. You were not being erased. You were being marked. Every unexplained delay was divine protection from a premature arrival. Every season of silence was God refusing to let you be misused before your time. Every person who underestimated you simply lacked the spiritual clearance to recognize what they were standing in front of. Psalm 18:19 says, "He brought me out into a spacious place. He rescued me because he delighted in me." He delighted in you, even in the cave, even in the silence, even in the years when nothing made sense and you cried out and heard nothing back. His delight in you never wavered. The confusion you carried was not a sign that God lost track of you. It was covering a divine pattern too intricate for you to see from where you were standing. You were looking at brushstrokes. God was painting a masterpiece. You were not forgotten. You were hidden. And there is a profound difference between the two. What is forgotten has no future. What is hidden is being preserved for one. If you have ever felt like your life carried a weight that nobody around you could explain, stay with me. Because what comes next is where the hidden pattern finally begins to show itself. And when you see it clearly for the first time, everything you've ever been through is going to make the kind of sense that brings tears to your eyes and fire to your bones. The unveiling has already begun. Now that you know the fight is real, let me show you something that will reframe every painful relationship, every confusing betrayal, every season that left you standing alone wondering what you did wrong. Because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just carrying something. Think back. Think all the way back. There were people who pulled away from you not because of anything you said, not because of anything you did, but the moment they got close enough, something in them recoiled. Friendships that faded for no reason. Rooms that grew cold when you walked in. People who smiled to your face but couldn't explain why they felt uneasy around you. You internalized all of it, didn't you? You told yourself something must be broken inside you. You made yourself smaller. You dimmed your voice. You apologized for taking up space. But what if it was never about you at all? What if those people were reacting spiritually to something they couldn't name? Here's the pattern. It has a name, and once you see it, You cannot unsee it. Dogs bark at the mail carrier, not because the carrier is dangerous, but because they sense something approaching that they don't understand. The barking isn't about the threat. It's about the unfamiliarity of what is being delivered. Some people in your life, they were barking at your anointing before it ever arrived. You were the signal. And the static around you was just interference from a frequency too high for some to receive. Look at Joseph, Genesis 37. His brothers hated him before he did a single thing to deserve it. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't eat in peace when he was near. The Bible says they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Why? Not because of his actions, because of his dreams, because of what was on him. They felt something that terrified them, a future they couldn't control and a favor they couldn't explain. Joseph didn't provoke that hatred. He carried something that made ordinary men uncomfortable. Now look at David. When Samuel came to Jesse's house to anoint the next king of Israel, his own father didn't even call him in from the fields. Every brother was presented. Everyone was passed over. And David, the one carrying the anointing, wasn't even in the room. His own family underestimated him. They overlooked the very one heaven had already crowned. Recognition often begins as resistance. And Moses, before God sent him to Pharaoh, he hid him for 40 years in the wilderness. 40 years. The man who would shake empires and part seas was tending sheep in the desert, invisible to the world. Not because he was disqualified, but because what he carried was too powerful to be released prematurely. Then there is Esther, positioned in a palace, hidden in plain sight. Nobody understood why this young Jewish woman had been placed so close to the most powerful throne on earth. Not even Esther herself. Until the moment arrived, and everything she had endured made sudden, devastating, beautiful sense. Chosen one, do you see the pattern? Hidden before sent, overlooked before crowned, hated before elevated, positioned before revealed. This is not coincidence. This is the fingerprint of God on a life being prepared for something that will outlast the people who tried to stop it. Now here is the question that should shake you to your bones. If people fought you without cause, what exactly were they sensing? Pause on that. Don't rush past it, because some people were not responding to your personality. They were reacting to your potential. They could not name it. They could not explain it. But deep in the marrow of their spirit, they felt it. The scent of oil drawing attention before the bottle is ever found. A crown being attacked before it is ever seen. Proverbs 18:16 says, "A man's gift makes room for him." But here is what that verse doesn't say. It doesn't say the room will be welcoming. Sometimes the gift makes room through resistance. Sometimes the door opens only after it has been beaten against. And this is where I need you to hear me clearly, chosen one. The people who dismissed your voice were silencing what they feared. The ones who tried to define you before you could define yourself were attempting to contain something they sensed could not be contained. The ones who envied you, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, they were not reacting to who you were. They were reacting to who you were becoming. That envy? It was a compass pointing at your calling. That dismissal? It was a sign you were already ahead of the room. That attack on your voice? It was proof that what you carried was loud enough in the spirit to make darkness nervous. If people have turned on you for no clear reason, type right now. They felt something. Because they did. And it's time you believed that too. You have spent too long carrying the wounds of misunderstood warfare as though they were evidence of your failure. They were not failures. They were confirmations. Every person who walked away, every door that was slammed, every season of isolation, it was all heaven saying, what is inside you is too significant to be released before its time. And now the time is shifting. The question is no longer why they fought you. The question now is, who exactly is the someone who looked at your life and said, that one, that is the one? And that answer, is going to change everything you thought you knew about why you are still here. There are moments in life when everything shifts, not because of what you saw, but because your name entered a room before your body did. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a room you've never been invited into. No address, no directions, no key. A room that exists beyond what your eyes can register and beyond what your mind can fully comprehend. But it is real, more real than the chair you're sitting in right now, more solid than the ground beneath your feet. In that room, there is a table, and around that table, a decision is being made, not about a corporation, not about a nation, about you. Your name is on the agenda, your life is the subject. And the weight in that room, the sacred, terrifying, glorious weight, is unlike anything this earth has ever manufactured. That room is where destinies are assigned. That room is where callings are confirmed. That room is where heaven leans forward and says, "That one, that's the one." And the moment those words were spoken over your life, hell flinched. Now hear me carefully, because this is where the title of this message becomes more than a sermon. It becomes a revelation. They're fighting over you. Someone just said, "You're the one." This is not poetic language. This is not religious decoration. This is what actually happened to you. The book of Job opens in a way that most people rush past too quickly. Chapter 1, verse 6. The sons of God present themselves before the Lord, and Satan comes with them. God looks across that divine assembly and he says, "Have you considered my servant Job?" God the Almighty, the Ancient of Days, the one who holds galaxies in his palm, he named Job in that room. He pointed to him. He said, "That one." And the moment God said it, the warfare began. Do you understand what you just heard? Job didn't do anything wrong to trigger the attack. He didn't make a mistake. He didn't open a door. He didn't invite the enemy in. God simply said his name in a room Job couldn't see, and everything changed overnight. That is exactly what has happened in your life. You have been asking the wrong question for years. You've been asking, "What did I do to deserve this?" But the real question, the one that unlocks everything, is this: what did God say about me in a room I couldn't enter? Because some battles are not punishment. Some battles are proof. Proof that heaven chose you for something that hell cannot afford to let happen. Think about the layers of what it means when someone says, "You're the one." Heaven says it because you are the one built for this specific assignment. Not someone smarter, not someone younger, not someone with a cleaner history or a more impressive resume. You, with your scars, with your detours, with your decades of quiet faithfulness when nobody was watching and nobody was clapping. Destiny says it because you are the one who survived the refining. Most people quit in the fire. Most people walk away in the wilderness. Most people close the door on their calling. The third time, disappointment knocks. But you are still here. Battered, maybe. Tired, perhaps. But still here. And that is not weakness, that is selection. Purpose says it because you are the one who can carry the weight. God doesn't assign light things to people he's been building for decades. The heavier the calling, the longer the preparation. And beloved, if your preparation has felt long, if it has felt like God forgot to press play on your life, it is because what is coming requires everything he has been building inside you. And hell reacts because it knows the decision has already been made. That is why the pressure got strange. That is why opposition came from directions that made no sense. That is why relationships fractured right when you were getting close. That is why the warfare intensified at the exact moment you began moving toward God. Proverbs 18:16 says, "A man's gift makes room for him." But what nobody tells you is that before the room opens for you, there is a fight over the room. There is a contention at the door. There is a battle over whether you will ever understand what you carry. The enemy doesn't attack empty vessels. He attacks oil. He attacks what is valuable, what is anointed, what has been sealed and marked and set apart before the foundations of the earth. And if you have spent your entire life wondering why the opposition felt disproportionate to your offense, this is your answer. You were carrying something, and it was being recognized long before you recognized it. Here is the line that should stop you cold. The reason the pressure got stranger is because your name moved from hidden files to active assignment. You went from pending to commissioned, from waiting list to the front line. And hell had to respond, because a chosen one who finally understands their assignment is the most dangerous force on this earth. Don't you dare leave this message halfway, because in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly why the fight became more aggressive, the moment recognition was getting close, and what God was doing in secret while the battle raged around you. Now that you know your name has been spoken in rooms you were never invited into, now that you understand a war has been raging over your life since before you had words for the feeling, I need to ask you something that may be the most important question anyone has ever asked you. Why now? Why has everything gotten harder right at this moment? Because I know what you've been feeling lately. And I mean, I know. You've been waking up exhausted, not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep can fix. This is a bone-deep, soul-level fatigue. Like you've been fighting an invisible war in your sleep and your spirit is worn down to the wire. Some mornings you lie there staring at the ceiling and you ask God not with words, but with that low, quiet groan that only He can interpret. How much longer? And then the heaviness settles in before noon. An emotional weight you can't name and can't explain. You're not depressed. You know the difference. This is something else, something pressing down from the outside, like pressure against a door you're barely holding shut. Old memories have come back. Old faces, old wounds you thought were healed, have cracked open without warning. People you haven't thought about in years have suddenly reappeared, either in your dreams or at your door, bringing the same spirit they always carried, dressed in a new conversation. Doubt has come. That quiet, creeping, theological doubt. Not the dramatic kind, the whispered kind. Maybe nothing is changing. Maybe this is just how it ends for you. Maybe you waited too long, and something in you has flirted just for a moment with disappearing, with going quiet, with pulling back from everything God placed in your hands and simply stopping. I need you to hear me clearly right now. That is not weakness. That is the sign. The enemy does not waste ammunition on an empty field. Say that again in your spirit until it lands. The enemy does not waste ammunition on an empty field. Soldiers do not mobilize against abandoned ground. Generals do not send their best forces against a target that poses no threat. If hell has been throwing everything at you, the fatigue, the heaviness, the old wounds, the renewed doubt, the family tension that flared up again out of nowhere, it is not because you are finished. It is because you are close. This is what the Bible shows us, over and over, in pattern after pattern, that we somehow keep missing. Spiritual conflict always intensifies at the threshold. Right before Moses stretched out his rod and parted the Red Sea, Pharaoh's army was closing in. The water was in front, the horses were behind, the people were screaming. It looked like the end. It was actually the entrance. Right before David was crowned king of all Israel, Saul hunted him through the wilderness for years. Betrayal on the left, enemies on the right, his own men questioning his calling. It looked like failure. It was actually final preparation. Right before Jesus walked out of that tomb on the third morning, there were Roman soldiers at the door, a stone that no man could move alone, and 3 days of silence so heavy it felt like God had gone dark. It looked like death had won. Death had not won. The pressure you are feeling right now is labor pain, and labor pain only comes when something is about to be born. You have been in labor, chosen one. That is not a metaphor. Your spirit has been contracting for months for some of you, for years pushing something into the world that hasn't broken through yet. And you've been lying there wondering if something is wrong with you because the pain keeps coming and you can't see the child. But ask any mother in this room. Ask any woman who has ever labored through the night. She will tell you the same thing. The pain is loudest right before the breakthrough. The darkest hour is not a poetic expression. It is a meteorological fact. The hour just before sunrise is the coldest, the blackest, the most disorienting. Stars begin to fade, but the sun hasn't arrived. You can lose your direction in that hour if you don't know what it means. It means morning is 60 seconds away. Now I want to speak directly to my older listeners, because I know some of you have been told sometimes by well-meaning people, sometimes by your own quiet thoughts, that this season is about slowing down, that your best years are behind you, that the assignment is over, and now it's just a matter of waiting gracefully for what comes next. I need you to challenge that narrative with everything inside you, because what God is doing in your life right now is not decline, it is transfer, it is promotion, it is the late life unveiling of something that required every single decade of preparation to carry properly. Moses was 80 years old when God said go. 80. His best sermon hadn't been written yet. His greatest miracle hadn't happened yet. His most powerful leadership hadn't been exercised yet. The burning bush didn't appear when Moses was young and confident and full of his own strength. It appeared after 40 years in the wilderness had burned every trace of self-reliance out of him. Maybe God has been waiting for you to reach this exact point, not despite your age, but because of it. The authority you carry right now, in this season, could not have been built at 30. It required 65 years of walking through fire without quitting. It required burying people you loved and choosing not to bury your faith with them. It required watching doors slam shut and trusting that God's hand was on the door. It required staying faithful in obscurity long after the applause stopped. That is not a resume of survival. That is a credential of calling. So, let me ask you something that will shake you to your core. What if the attack you are living through right now is not punishment? What if it is confirmation? What if the war didn't get louder because you failed, but because something was already set in motion that hell is desperately trying to stop before it arrives? A military commander never orders a full assault against a bridge unless crossing is imminent. He only commits his forces when he is terrified of what happens if the other side gets across. The intensity of the attack is intelligence about the significance of the crossing. The enemy has seen your crossing. That is why he is mobilizing everything. There is a vault in your life, a sealed, locked chamber of purpose, authority, and destiny. And for years, maybe decades, the enemy has watched the combination being entered. One tumbler at a time, one trial at a time, one season of faithfulness at a time. And now he can hear the final lock beginning to turn. He can feel the vault door starting to give. That is why the pressure increased. That is why the discouragement is louder. That is why the temptation to quit is stronger now than it has ever been before. Because if he can get you to walk away from that vault in the last 30 seconds, he wins everything. Don't you dare walk away. Paul wrote it plainly, without softening it at all. Galatians 6-9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. If we do not give up, the harvest is already set. The time is already scheduled. The only variable left is whether you surrender before the vault opens. The attack did not mean you missed it. The attack may be the clearest sign that something has already been set in motion. If you are still here, still watching, still listening, still standing, this message is not random. You did not find this by accident. Something drew you to this exact moment because heaven knew you needed to hear that your suffering has a name, your pressure has a purpose, and your survival is not a coincidence. Type these words right now. I will not quit at the threshold. Not because it's a nice phrase, because it is a declaration. Because when you speak it, something in the spiritual realm registers it. Something that has been fighting to break you hears it. and understands that you know what time it is. You are at the threshold. And what waits on the other side of it? The breakthrough, the restoration, the late life unveiling, the authority you have been prepared to carry it, is worth every single step of what brought you here. Stay. Fight. Cross. Because what God is about to show you about your own life, that is where we go next. Now that you understand the war being waged around your life, now that you know the fight started before you ever understood your name was being spoken, I need to take you somewhere even deeper. Because knowing there's a battle is one thing. Knowing why you are worth fighting over, that changes everything. So stay with me, because what I'm about to say next is not a sermon. It is a verdict. A divine declaration that has been waiting to reach your ears for a very long time. You were never random. Say that slowly to yourself. Let it land. You were never a mistake of biology, a product of circumstance, an accidental soul who slipped into existence when nobody was paying attention. Before your mother knew she was carrying you, before your name was chosen, before your face was formed, God already knew you. Jeremiah 1-5 doesn't whisper this. It declares it. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Set apart, not set aside. There is a difference between those two phrases that could rewrite your entire story. Set aside means forgotten, neglected, shelved without purpose. Set apart means consecrated, reserved, protected for something that ordinary vessels cannot carry. You were not hidden because heaven overlooked you. You were hidden because the oil inside you was real. And real oil, pressed oil, costly oil, it doesn't pour itself out for just any moment. It waits, it deepens, it intensifies in the dark. Now let me ask you something honest, something that might sting a little. How many years have you spent carrying the quiet belief that somehow, somewhere along the way, God missed you? That He called others forward and somehow your name slipped through the cracks? That the life you've lived, with all its detours, its disappointments, its seasons of silence, somehow added up to less than what it was supposed to be? How many mornings have you looked in the mirror and thought, maybe it's too late for me? I need you to hear this like thunder. That thought, that quiet, devastating lie, it did not come from heaven. Because heaven has never once looked at you and thought, too late. Look at Moses. He spent 40 years in the wilderness thinking his moment had passed. 40 years of obscurity after a dramatic fall from power. The world had moved on. His people were still in chains. And Moses, 80 years old, weathered, humbled, stood at a burning bush and heard God say, I have a job for you. 80 years old, not retired, deployed. Look at Anna, the prophetess in Luke chapter 2, 84 years old, a widow, decades spent in quiet faithfulness at the temple when the world had long stopped watching. And yet, when the moment that would change all of human history walked through that door as a newborn child, God chose her eyes to see it first. Why her? Why not someone younger, louder, more impressive by the world's measure? Because God needed someone whose vision had been purified by time. Someone who had been faithful long enough that her eyes no longer chased things that didn't matter. That is you, chosen one. The world told you that aging is decline. Society told you that your best years are behind you. The culture whispers that at 65, 70, 75 you are fading. I am here to tell you that is one of the most dangerous lies ever spoken over a human soul. You are not declining, you are distilling. Think about an oak tree. The older it grows, the deeper its roots reach, roots that younger trees cannot match because they haven't yet touched the same ground. You cannot fake those roots, you cannot manufacture that depth. It only comes from years. Think about a blade forged by a master craftsman. The longer it stays in the fire, the stronger it becomes. Every pass through the heat removes what is weak and reveals what is unbreakable. Think about fine gold. Proverbs 17:3 says, "The crucible for silver, the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. Gold is not destroyed by fire, gold is revealed by fire. Everything that is not gold burns away. What remains is pure, what remains is precious. That is what these years have been doing to you. You are not weakening, you are deepening. You are not disappearing, you are ripening. Every loss you have survived, every grief you have carried, every season where God seemed silent, and the silence nearly swallowed you whole. It was not punishment, it was purification. And here is the word that will set your spirit on fire if you receive it fully. You were not delayed because God forgot you. You were delayed because what you carry needed the kind of soul that only time, suffering, and faithfulness could produce. Not a young soul, not an untested soul, not a soul that has only known the mountaintop, a seasoned soul. A soul that has been to the valley and came back carrying something the valley gave it. A soul that knows how to hold someone else's pain without flinching because it has held its own. A hidden general, called forward in the final hour, not despite the years, because of them. The Apostle Paul said it in 2 Corinthians 4:17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Light and momentary, he called it. And yet Paul had been beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, and left for dead. He wasn't minimizing the pain, he was revealing its purpose. Every ounce of suffering was producing something invisible to the natural eye, something eternal in weight and permanent in glory. Your suffering produced something too, not wasted years, weighted years, years heavy with the kind of wisdom that cannot be downloaded, cannot be purchased, and cannot be faked. So, if you have spent even one moment believing you are a leftover, that you are living in the afterlife of your calling, I need you to hear heaven's verdict right now, spoken over your life with complete authority. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not a footnote in someone else's story. You may be standing in the holiest transition of your entire life, not the ending, the threshold. And what God is about to do through a soul like yours, seasoned, purified, unshakable, the young cannot yet do, the untested cannot yet carry. Only you. Only someone who has walked through what you have walked through and still chose to believe. If this is speaking to your spirit right now, whisper it to yourself, wherever you are. I was being prepared, not passed over. Because now that you know who you are, now that you understand why the war was never random and the hiding was never rejection, there is one more question that will unlock everything. What is the assignment that required this level of preparation? That is exactly where we are going next. You just heard it. The war around your life didn't start because of what you did. It started because of what you carry. But now, I need to tell you something that is going to change the way you see every single battle you have ever fought. Here it is. The raw, unfiltered truth. They were never just fighting over you. They were fighting over your agreement. Stay with me, because this is where everything shifts. The enemy of your soul is not losing sleep over your pain. He is not troubled by your tears. He has watched God's people suffer in silence for centuries, and it has never shaken him. He can tolerate your wounds. He can tolerate your confusion. He can tolerate your grief. But he cannot tolerate your clarity. The moment you begin to see yourself the way heaven sees you, everything changes. The atmosphere changes. The assignment changes. The warfare changes. Because the most dangerous version of you is not wounded you. It is not broken you. It is not even recovering you. The most dangerous version of you is awakened. You. Think about that. A giant sleeping in a valley is harmless, but the moment that giant opens his eyes, draws breath, and rises to his full height, the ground shakes. The enemy doesn't fear a sleeping giant. He fears the morning the giant wakes up and remembers who he is. Ezekiel 37. God takes the prophet to a valley full of dry bones, lifeless, scattered, long forgotten. And God asks one of the most audacious questions in all of Scripture. Can these bones live? And then God speaks, and the bones begin to rattle. Listen to me, chosen one. That rattling you have been feeling in your spirit, that restless stirring that won't let you be quiet, that is not anxiety, that is not age. That is God's word finding the dry bones of your identity and commanding them to come together. The rattling means the resurrection has already begun. Now, here is what I need you to understand about the war. Hell fought your voice because your voice carries release. One word from your mouth, spoken in faith, can unlock what years of silence could not. Your voice is not ordinary. When it is aligned with heaven's verdict, chains fall off people. Hell fought your heart because your healed heart carries authority. A wounded heart bleeds into every room it enters. But a healed heart, a heart that has been broken and put back together by God, that heart walks in rooms and changes them. The enemy knew that if your heart ever fully healed, you would become a weapon he cannot stop. Hell fought your mind because your clarity would make you unstoppable. Read that again. Confusion is not random. Confusion is strategic. The enemy pours fog over the minds of chosen ones because he knows what happens when the fog lifts. When you can finally see who you are, what you carry, why you are here, the paralysis ends. The hesitation ends. The delay ends. He has been buying time, and beloved, his time is running out. Because here is what Scripture declares in Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can stand against us? Not who can inconvenience us, not who can slow us, who can stand? Nobody. Now let me ask you something, and I need you to sit in this question. What happens tonight if you agree with God? Not tomorrow. Not when the circumstances change. Not when you feel more ready. Tonight. What changes when your mouth and heaven's verdict say the same thing? What is released when the chosen one stops apologizing for existing? I'll tell you what changes. Everything. Because right now, some of you have been calling yourselves forgotten, delayed, too old, too late, too broken. You have rehearsed those words so long they feel like truth. But they are not truth. They are the script the enemy handed you so you would never rise to become what he already knows you are. The moment you stop calling yourself forgotten and start calling yourself chosen, the atmosphere in your home changes. The moment you stop calling yourself delayed and start calling yourself prepared, the door that has been stuck for years begins to move. The moment you stop calling yourself cursed and start calling yourself guarded, principalities that have camped around your life begin to scatter. Because they are not just fighting over your future, they are fighting over your agreement. A key has been sitting in an old rusted lock for years, and heaven has been waiting patiently, faithfully waiting for the moment you finally turn it. You are the key. Your agreement is the turning. Proverbs 18:21 says it plainly. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Not in the power of your circumstances, not in the power of what others say about you, in the power of your tongue, in what you choose to declare over your own life. So, I am asking you right now, chosen one, beloved, carrier of something heaven has been protecting for decades, are you ready to stop agreeing with the enemy's report? Are you ready to open your mouth and say what God has already written about you? If you are ready, if something in your spirit just caught fire, type these words right now. I am the one God prepared. Not with hesitation, not with embarrassment. Say it like you mean it, because heaven is listening, and hell is watching. And the moment those words leave your lips, the whole atmosphere around your life will never be the same again. You know what nobody talks about in church? The specific, quiet, devastating pain of being seen, but not understood. Not the pain of enemies, not the wounds from strangers. The pain that came from the people who were supposed to know you. Your own family, your own circle. The ones who sat across the table from you for 30, 40, 50 years and still couldn't read the language of your heart. That is a grief that does not have a clean name. It sits somewhere between loneliness and betrayal, and it never fully heals unless God Himself puts His hand on it. So right now, I want to speak directly to that place inside you. The place you've never let the Sunday sermon reach. The place you've protected with busyness and service and silence. Because here's what they missed about you. Your quiet was not weakness, it was depth. Your stillness was not passivity, it was prayer. Your tears, the ones you cried in the dark, alone, when everyone else was asleep, were not signs of failure. They were the sound of someone carrying something too sacred and too heavy to explain out loud. You were a violin left in the attic, not because you had no music in you, but because no one in that house knew how to listen at the frequency you were made to play. And that is one of the loneliest feelings a human being can carry. Think about how many times you served faithfully and no one said thank you. How many times you stayed loyal when you had every right to walk away and it went completely unnoticed. How many times you held that family together with your bare hands, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and still felt invisible at your own kitchen table. You sent a letter. They sent it back unopened. You were a lighthouse on a shoreline, burning through every storm, keeping ships from the rocks, and not one of them ever looked up to say, "Thank you for the light." And the deepest wound, the one that cut closest to the bone, was not from the people who were openly against you. It was from the ones who should have recognized your heart. Hear me clearly. Some of the deepest tears you ever cried did not come from your enemies. They came from people who loved you in the only way they knew how, and it was not enough for what you were carrying. That is not your fault. That is not their verdict over your value. That was simply a human limitation, meeting a divine assignment. Because what God placed inside you, the depth of your compassion, the weight of your calling, the intensity of your spirit, it was never going to be fully interpreted by human eyes. Not in that season. Not in that room. Isaiah 55:8 says it plain, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." The people around you were not built to understand what God was building through you. You were a well covered with stones, and they walked right over it, never knowing how deep the water ran beneath their feet. And so you went quiet. You pulled back. You buried the gift a little deeper each time someone misread your motives, misquoted your silence, or mistook your endurance for having no needs of your own. You thought maybe if you dimmed yourself down enough, the misunderstanding would stop hurting. It didn't. Because a seed buried in darkness does not stop being a seed. It suffers the weight of the soil, but it does not stop becoming. Now, let me ask you something that may shake you. What did God do with all those overlooked years? What happened in heaven during every season you felt invisible on earth? Can delayed recognition still become holy vindication? Yes, absolutely yes. And here is how you know. Psalm 56:8 tells us, God kept every single tear you cried in a bottle. He wrote them in His book. Not one drop of grief was wasted. Not one overlooked act of faithfulness disappeared into silence. God saw what they missed. God protected what they mishandled. God preserved what they did not know how to honor. When Joseph's brothers stripped him of his coat and threw him in a pit, they thought they were ending his story. What they were actually doing was relocating his destiny. Every year they ignored him. Every year he was unseen. Every year he spent in Potiphar's house, and then in prison. God was writing a chapter that no human hand could author. And when the moment of revelation came in Genesis 45, when Joseph stood before the very people who had misread him, dismissed him, sold him, he did not say, "I told you so." He said, "God sent me before you." That is what vindication sounds like when it has been refined through decades of holy hiddenness. The pain of being misunderstood was not proof that your life lacked meaning. It was proof that much of what God was doing in you could not yet be interpreted by human eyes. You were not overlooked. You were covered. There is a difference. And now, right now, something is shifting. Heaven is beginning to pull back the stone from the well. The attic door is opening. The seed that endured every cold season underground is pressing toward the surface with everything it has. The grief is real. God honors that grief. But grief was never meant to be your final address. If you know the pain of being misunderstood, just stay with this next part. This is where grief turns into vindication. Let me tell you something that is going to land differently than anything you have heard today. God does not apologize. He reinterprets. He does not sit at the end of your story and say, "I'm sorry that took so long." No, he opens the record, he adjusts the ledger, and he lets the very life that looked like a loss speak again this time, as evidence of something extraordinary. This is what he does. This is who he is, the God of reinterpretation. And right now, chosen one, he is picking up your story, every chapter, every wound, every year that felt invisible, and he is reading it out loud in a room you didn't know existed. Think about Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold for 20 pieces of silver, falsely accused, forgotten in a prison cell for years. Every single layer of that story looked like failure, looked like abandonment, looked like a life going nowhere. But God was not done writing. One morning, Pharaoh had a dream. And suddenly, the man everyone forgot became the man no one could do without. The same life that looked like a dead end became the doorway to a dynasty. Think about David, anointed king as a teenager, then sent back to tend the sheep. While Saul sat on the throne, David sat in the fields. Years went by. No coronation, no palace, no explanation. Just sheep, silence, and songs no one was listening to. Until the day God said, "Now," and everything shifted overnight. Think about Esther, a Jewish orphan hidden inside a foreign kingdom, raised by her cousin, invisible to history. No title, no platform, no power, or so it appeared. But she was being positioned, not overlooked. And when the moment came, one woman walked into a throne room and changed the fate of an entire nation. She didn't get there despite being hidden. She got there because of it. Think about Anna, widowed at a young age, 84 years old, decades of fasting, praying, waiting in the temple courts while the world moved on without her. People probably walked past her every day and thought, "What a shame. All that devotion, nothing to show for it." But Anna was the one God chose to be in the temple on the morning his own son was presented. She saw the Messiah before the high priests did. Her decades of waiting were not wasted. They were the very qualification that put her in that room. And Moses, do not skip over Moses. 80 years old, 40 years in exile. By every human standard, his best days were behind him. His influence was gone. His opportunity had passed, until a bush caught fire and refused to burn out. And from that moment, the man everyone had forgotten became the man who parted the Red Sea. Here is what every single one of those stories has in common. Chosen one. Every single one. The years were not wasted. They were loaded. The hiddenness was not abandonment. It was armor. The tears were not meaningless. They were seed. The waiting was not punishment. It was preparation. And now, right now, heaven is picking up your file. Not to review it, to reopen it. Because here is the truth that connects back to everything we have been talking about. They are fighting over you because the transition is already underway. When your name was spoken in that room, you never entered when someone said, "That one is the one." It was not a prediction about your future. It was a declaration about your present. Heaven is no longer holding you as hidden potential alone. You are being moved from the waiting list to the appointment order. That war that has surrounded your life, that opposition that intensified every time you got closer to God. It was not random. The enemy does not waste resources. He does not fight over empty vessels. He does not battle over lives that carry nothing significant. He was fighting because he could read the reinterpretation coming before you could. But here is what he miscalculated. Every battle he sent to break you only built the authority inside you. Every closed door developed the discernment you will need for the open ones. Every season in the valley gave your voice a weight that comfortable people never carry. You are not just being comforted after battle. You are being commissioned because of it. The morning sun is finally reaching your valley. The curtain is opening after a long intermission. The case has been reopened, and this time the verdict reads differently. You are not just being seen, you are being repositioned. So, here is the question that will determine everything from this moment forward. Will you receive this? Not with pride, not with performance, but with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who has learned through fire, through tears, through decades of trusting an invisible God that he has never once dropped what he was holding. If you believe God is repositioning your life right now, say it out loud wherever you are. Lord, I receive your timing, because what is coming next is not just a blessing, it is an assignment, one that carries the full authority of everything you survived to earn it. We have come a long way together. You now know the fight was real, the warfare that surrounded your life before you could even name it real. The relationships that fractured right when you were getting closer to God real, the doors that slammed, the years that felt wasted, the mornings you woke up wondering if heaven had simply moved on without you. All of it. Real. But here is what is more real than all of it combined. The selection. Before one breath entered your lungs, before your mother held you for the first time, before this world ever got the chance to tell you who you were, God had already written your name in a place no enemy could touch. Ephesians 1-4 says it plainly. He chose us before the foundation of the world. Not after you proved yourself, not after you cleaned up your past, before the world existed. That is how long God has known you were the one. So I need to ask you something, and I need you to sit with this, because it will change everything. Why are you still agreeing with smallness? Why are you still narrating your life through the voice of abandonment, as if God forgot your address, as if he looked down one day and simply could not find you? Why are you still calling preparation delay, as if every season of waiting was evidence of rejection rather than refinement? Why are you still apologizing for your age, as if Moses did not stand before Pharaoh at 80, as if Caleb did not climb his mountain at 85 and say, "Give it to me, I am still strong"? Stop explaining away what God deliberately preserved. You are not still here by accident. You are still here by assignment. The enemy fought so hard to stop you because a hidden soldier is still a soldier. A lamp tucked under a table still holds fire. And the moment you finally stand up, the moment you stop shrinking and step into the fullness of who God made you, everything changes. For you, for your family, for the people whose names you do not even know yet, who are waiting on your obedience to unlock their breakthrough. Isaiah 60:1 is not a suggestion, it is a command. Arise, shine, for your light has come. Arise first. The shining follows the standing. So stand up. Stand up in the garments God prepared for you in secret, the ones sewn together through every trial, every midnight prayer, every season you cried out and felt like heaven was silent, but kept going anyway. That fabric is stronger than anything this world can manufacture. You earned that robe. Now wear it. Here is the final truth, the one that should settle something permanently in your spirit. The greatest revelation today is not that they fought over you. Remarkable as that is not the headline. The greatest truth is this: God never questioned who you were. Not once. While you doubted, he was certain. While you wavered, he was settled. While the enemy argued your case in the darkness, heaven already knew the verdict. They are fighting over you because your life is not a casual life. And someone just said, "You're the one," because God is not done introducing you to who you really are. The trumpet is sounding over you right now, not over someone younger, not over someone with a cleaner story or a louder platform. Over you, the hidden soldier, the preserved vessel, the lamp that is finally, finally being set on the stand. If this word found you today, if something in your chest said yes while I was speaking type right now, heaven knew my name. Because it did. It always has. Now pray this with me. Wherever you are, however you feel, just speak these words out loud. Lord, I receive it. Clarity over confusion, courage over fear, healing over every wound I have carried too long. Restore my voice, strengthen my spirit, order my steps in holy timing. Let my vindication be visible, and let my peace be unshakable. I will no longer walk like someone forgotten. I will walk like the one you chose. In Jesus' name, amen. That prayer just moved something in the spiritual realm. Do not underestimate what was released in this moment. If this message strengthened your spirit today, stay connected to this channel, because what God begins to reveal, He also intends to establish. And there is so much more He wants to show you. You are not at the end of your story, chosen one. You are finally at the beginning.